money on my mind, 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 money on my mind. So money is all I think of. Money on my mind, money on my mind, money on my mind, money on my mind.
All right, you guys. Yes, today money is always on our mind. Not just today, every day. So, just in case you didn't know that by now. But if you're just tuning in right now, thank you for joining. This is Financial State of Minds with your boy, Blickety Blondie himself, Darrin Harvey, a.k.a. the Money Man, a.k.a. Blondie McFly, a.k.a. There's a lot of names. Anyway, D-Money. I like that one, D-Money. Anyways, but thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in once again to my show where I talk about that good old financial literacy and business literacy and all things moolah, and also where I help you get to that bag, manage that bag, and that growing that bag as well. Oh my God, I'm just forgetting. I haven't even had my coffee. This is what happens when you don't have coffee and you do a podcast. But again, I just want to always thank everybody here at KGPC 96.9 FM. It's probably where you're listening to it. If you're not listening to it there, you're probably on their website, kgpc969.org. If you're not there listening, you're probably on all the streaming platforms. However you're listening, thank you. You might be listening at 9 a.m. in the morning, 9 p.m. Doesn't matter how you're listening. I just want to thank you for continuing to watch the show. I refuse to number these episodes anymore because I've just forgotten. We're on some episode. I don't remember the number. And what are we talking about today? Well, this is a follow-up episode to the last episode I recorded, which if you haven't checked out, go watch the last episode. We've been talking about the hackers, the scammers. But more seriously, we've been talking about identity theft, kind of what is it, what to look for, and how to kind of protect yourself from identity theft. So that was part one. So in part two, we're going to talk about how I was the victim of one. So we're going to talk about that quickly. I was recently the victim of identity theft, and we're going to talk more generally about scams, like the good old scammers who got me. Well, I got hacked, but good old scammers who get some people, and how it is a continuous problem that is only escalating in the year 2024 and beyond. It's been a problem, but I just been serious about it because, well, I was affected. So we ain't got to really hold on. Just grab some popcorn, take some notes seriously, grab your coffee if it's in the morning if you're listening to this, and then let's continue. So last episode, which at the time of this recording, it's not even put out yet, but last episode, we talked about ID theft, not knowing that I actually was a victim of identity theft at the time of the recording. So quickly, as I just alluded to 5 seconds ago, I was quote unquote hacked. Someone broke into my Chase account and oddly redeemed all of my reward points. So if you're a follower of the show, you know my day-to-day credit card and my favorite credit card, period, that you can get that's not a black card is the Chase Sapphire Reserved. I talk about it. I may have even shown it on camera a couple of times, but it's a travel card that I use alongside my girlfriend, and we use it for the reward points and how essentially we can travel for discounted or free. We logged in, or my girlfriend logged in to my Chase portal. It's been about a month, about 3 weeks ago now. And we logged in. We were logging in because we are booking our birthday getaway. We're going to Cancun. 5-star resort, Cancun. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be bonkers. But we're going to Cancun. So we went on chase.com and we logged into my portal. And my girlfriend noticed it right away. And she was just like, "Did you redeem these reward points?" And I'm like, "No." And she's just like, "Why do you only have 12,000? And I'm like, maybe that's like the credit line that I have remaining at this time. He's like, "No, you have like 12,000 something reward points." And I honestly thought my girlfriend was just bugging. So she showed me, and I started in my head panicking. I didn't show it. I was calm to my girlfriend, but inside, y'all, I am not lying to you, I was panicking. I'm like, where the heck did my reward points go? Now, at the time, I should have had about 150 70 to 180,000 Chase reward points. I'm sitting there looking at the screen. It said 12,000. So this was in the evening time. This would have been past 7 or 8. So at that time, Chase's customer service is closed. So I'm over here scrolling, blindy over here scrolling for the viewers, literally like this is how I do it. And I'm scrolling like this. And I'm trying to figure out how this happened. And one thing I'm noticing is I'm not even noticing that the points went to my Chase account. By the way, it can't go to my Chase account because I don't have a Chase checking account. I only have credit cards with Chase. I don't have a checking, savings, nothing like that. So I'm not even seeing how this got redeemed. Sorry, the reward points got redeemed. So I just called Chase the next day. This would have been 2 or 3 Thursdays ago. I called Chase and shout out to Chase. I really want to shout out Chase because they were great. So the lady assisted me. She asked me I got transferred to the security department. She asked me some questions, verifying questions, security questions, all this stuff. And basically what we kind of figured out was somehow this person got into my Chase portal. They figured out my password. Somehow they were able to change my phone number. They are also able to add a physical address, and most importantly, they were able to add an external bank account. And what they simply did is they redeemed all the points, or nearly all the points, and they redeemed it and they sent it to their bank account. That was it. That's all they did. They did not use any, they didn't get my credit card. They didn't use my credit card. They didn't sign up for stuff. None of that. That's all they did. They simply just took the reward points. Now, again, ironically, this was right after or shortly after I recorded the previous episode, the last episode. So between that and my best friend being partly into cybersecurity, I have 2 best friends that are both into cybersecurity in various roles. I have a fairly above average understanding in cybersecurity and the threats of scams and hackers. But I really was getting into the research for the last episode. So I really was like, how did this happen? My password is something that you really can't figure out unless you really know me. I don't really put it out there. If I probably have to dig really hard to figure out where it is on the internet or anything like that. But they figured it out and they took my reward points. And I asked the lady, like, is this a thing where people just break into accounts and redeem reward points? They said absolutely, because most people don't look at the reward points regularly. And 2, it's not cash, or it's not, they're points. It's not liquid cash. It's not a transaction. So again, people don't notice it. And basically, once it's taken, that's it. Game over. You're out of the money, or in this case, unfortunately, Chase is out of the money. And that's it. So again, shout out to Chase. They did reimburse me all my points back. They also are doing a little bit heavier monitoring on the account for security purposes. They add a verbal password to the account. So now I have to use a verbal password anytime I want to call in. And yeah, happy ending at the end of the day. Me and my girlfriend, we booked our birthday trip. So we'll be gone to Cancun around our birthdays. And it all worked out. But the point of the story is I was a lucky one. I caught it fairly quickly. I found out that the day that this happened was March 28th of 2024. So it had happened about 2 or 3 weeks after I noticed it. It happened 2 or 3 weeks, and then I noticed it later, around 2 or 3 weeks. So I had no idea. This is the first time that I've ever personally, that I'm aware of, been hacked, been taken, advantage of as far as finances and in a digital way or a cyber way. So, I was very fortunate. I didn't think of, I wasn't, I'm not over here like traumatized or anything like that, because I know a lot of people who've been hit way harder by scammers and hackers and stuff like that. So, and I ultimately got my money back within literally a week or so. So happy ending for me. But I just wanted to quickly share my story. because you guys need to know, like, I literally, again, I can't emphasize this enough, I was researching for Identity Theft episode. I never even heard of this type of hack or this type of thing where people come in just to take reward points to cash them out. So the rest of this episode, I just want to talk about different scams or hacks. Really, we're focusing on the scams today that are going around right now at the time of this recording. I'm recording today, May 2nd, 2024. So these are scams that are going around again at the time of this recording. So I'm just going to run through them in no particular order. So I'm going to be using terms, but don't focus too much on the terms. Just focus on the type of scams and how they're trying to get you. But before I start, I just want to overview kind of scamming digitally. So what I mean by scamming digitally, the overall goal. So the overall goal of a scammer typically, of course, is two things. One, they're trying to collect personal and sensitive data from you so they can open up account to, charge your credit card, open up, credit cards, open up any financial account so they can start getting money off of you for free. Or two, they're trying to trick you to paying them directly for something. Most or not all these scams I'm talking about today are digital. So they're not in person. They're going to be over the phone, over email, over text, over the internet. They're not going to be in person. None of these are in-person scams unless I, say it is. And again, the goal is to get money out of you through payment or collecting your information, so they can open up fake accounts under your name and get money out of you. So, all right, let's talk about them. So one, probably the most scary scam, I'm just going to get the scariest one out the way. They're called they call them ransom scams, victim scams, the imposter scams. But these are scams where people are calling you, usually through a phone, and they are saying that a loved one has been kidnapped, and it's a ransom scam. Hey, your loved one's been kidnapped. If you don't pay up, we're going to harm the victim. So obviously they're going to want you to pay up. So there's that. That's been around for a while. What's getting scary now is with the advent of generative AI, they're able to clone a family member's voice. And it's getting scary to the point because now they have software where it's not only cloned, it's interactive. So there are stories I'm reading where people are literally talking to their daughters, or talking to their mothers, or talking to their grandparents, their sons, their brothers, whoever. And it's a full interactive conversation. There's no long pauses. There's no grammatical errors. There's no, anything. It legitimately sounds like them. So they're out there. It's real. But kind of one thing to know about these scams, and this is kind of going to be a general basis for most of these scams, is they don't want you to hang up the phone, and they want you to pay up immediately, quickly. They typically don't give you they typically won't go, oh, you have 72 hours to pay up, or you have 48 hours, or, you have a week. There's nothing like that. They generally want the money right there on the initial call, and they will say and do whatever it takes to keep you on the call, which is a bit different, unfortunately, from real actual kidnappers, real, people who are really out there doing those crazy things. They are typically more willing to give you a little bit more time than just immediately. Also, too, they typically don't want you to they typically don't want you to talk to the victim. So if you ask them, hey, can I talk to him directly? Or can I, say a certain phrase or ask a certain question, ask for their location? They try to shy away from you starting the conversation. If they do talk with the generative AI, it's going to be very short. But ultimately, this is a scam. The best thing to do is to hang up, and you're going to be good. You can call the police. You can do all that. But that's just a crazy scam that's going on right now. That's probably the craziest one. But there's some very, albeit very creative scams going on. So, or scams that are just kind of, they have new twist to it. And there's just so many, I can't get it done in one episode. But again, I'm just going to fly through as many as I can. So the other one is they're literally jury duty scams, where literally they're sending fake jury paperwork over. And there's always like a link or some place to where you can, put in a payment or something like that. Put in your personal information. Sorry, not payment. Personal information for a jury scam. So then they're collecting your personal information, usually including the social security number. There's the classic police government scams where they're impersonating the IRS. They're impersonating the franchise tax board, which is California's state tax collection agency. They're impersonating the police. Shout out to my homegirl, attorney Martin. She's told me about jail bondsman scams. All these scams are kind of representing government situations, and they're like, hey, you're under arrest, you're in jail, you've been charged, you owe taxes, you get the point, pay up now or you're going to be arrested. So that's kind of it. A lot of these scams, typically they're going to send you give them the credit card, you give them the payment information over the phone, or sometimes they'll hit you with a text message and you can just follow the link and stuff like that. Another scam is the AI photo generated scams. So if you go into Facebook Marketplace, if you go up to OfferUp, if you go into eBay, places like that, people are just selling fake items. And that's an old school one, but it's getting a little bit more harder to distinguish because the photos are getting real because of AI, like Midjourney and stuff like that. And also with ChatGPT, they can basically generate really convincing descriptions of the items, and stuff like that. So it looks like a legitimate listing. And then what's happening is with transactions, they prefer to do, again, they're trying to collect your payment information. So they'll, transaction over eBay, transaction over another different link or something like that. It's all the same thing. It's always going to come down to trying to get your payment information, like I keep saying. There's a scam that I saw going around where the scammers take information from students and they're sending mail or, again, emails or text messages to the parents of students. Usually it's in an email or a mail, and it's like, hey, your student signed up for this, pre-SAT prep kit that we're trying to sell you. Here you go. Here's a link to pay. Here's a link to input the information to confirm, and now they have your information. And I can keep going. There are QR codes or QR barcode scams. So yes, the little QR codes that you scan that are becoming common in restaurants and stuff like that. Absolutely, yeah. You can scan those and they're sending you to websites that are fake, and you're, again, giving up your information. There's so many. I could just literally just keep going and going and going. I'm trying to think of another scam off the top of my head. There are the scams. Let's just go over some of these terms I talked about in the last episode, but I'll repeat them. So if you don't know what phishing is, so phishing spelled with I think it's PHSING. That is when a scammer or a hacker is trying to email you an information, and then you follow a link and it takes you somewhere else, and then you're inputting your information. Now it's theirs, or the link automatically downloads malware onto your computer. There's something called vishing, which is the voicemail version of that, where someone's calling you. Same thing. Pretty much everything we're talking about so far is vishing in some sense. And there's something called smishing, which is the text message version. I don't know about you guys, but there's a scam called the romance scam. And there's so many different variations of it. I'll just give a few. But a romance scam is basically when somebody is trying to be your friend. It doesn't have to be like romantic, but it can just be a friend. It can be, a lot of times it is from dating apps and stuff like that. And they're basically, this one, they're trying to really put in the effort to build up a relationship to eventually have you give them, money or personal information and stuff like that. There's a version of that called pig butchering, where it's essentially similar, but it's for investment. So sometimes these scammers and hackers take sometimes months, but definitely weeks, days, and they're building up a rapport with you. They're, they're being their friend, they're being nice to you, and in hopes of trying to convince you to invest something into them. Usually it's cryptocurrency, but it could be other things. And then once you give up your money, it's over, it's gone, stuff like that. So there's so many variations of that. One that involves text messaging is one I get it all the time on my phone. Is somebody say, hey, insert name, usually it's not even my name, or it can just be, hey, blank. It was great meeting you the other day, or hey, how are you doing, or hey, it's been a long time, and it's from a random number. Don't reply to any of this stuff, but don't reply to these text messages. Don't reply with a wrong number, because they're going to try to start a conversation with you, be friendly and stuff like that. Again, this is all under the romance scam type of scam, where they're just trying to collect your data and stuff like that by being your friend. One of the classic scams that I got asked a lot about back in 2021, 2022, I don't see it as much, but the particularly Cash App had it, where somebody is pretending to work at Cash App, or they know somebody that works at Cash App, and say, hey, if you give me $100 and put it into this Cash App account, it'll turn into 1,000, and I'll send you 1,000 out of it, or something like that. I haven't seen those as much come up, but that was one I got particularly asked about a lot a couple of years ago. Obviously, that I wouldn't trust it, even if it's really somebody from Cash App. And there was the Venmo version of it too, the PayPal version of it too. If it's really from those places, then it's illegal and you're going to get caught because it's all traceable. But those are all scams still happening. So one thing, stuff to do about these scams, and that's really the point. I'm trying to think of any more I can just kind of think of before I talk about what to do. Jesus, there's so many. There is so many. The tech support scam is still classic. Oh, the recovery scam. Oh, yeah. That's a creative one. The recovery scam. So there are scammers out there, and a lot of times they live on forums, typically, but they could be on YouTube. They'll be in the YouTube comments. And they're advertising that they can recover your money if you've been scammed already. And the truth is, they're the scammers too. So if you're giving up their information, they're like, hey, you've been scammed. We have the ways to find the money, stuff like that. We're going to go ahead and recover it for you. And the truth is, it's not. They just kind of hit you again for a lick. You guys get the point, though. There's so many variants of it. And I wish I had more time to talk about all the different variants of it. But scamming is a big problem. According to the good old government, I think, like I said, I think it's 5.2 million people have reported fraud of some type in 2022, with an estimated around 8 billion lost just in 2022. So this is a $1 billion industry. So that's part of the reason why these things are getting so, much more organized, more sophisticated, stuff like that. So it's big money for these scammers, big money. There's organizations, usually it's out of the country. I'm not going to name any specific countries, but it's usually out of country. But there are definitely scammers over here in America. And like I talked about in the previous episode, this is made easier every day now with the advent of AI, with the advent of automation, to where they can just call a bunch of people. And one thing I wanted to debunk that I actually found interesting is this theory that scammers affect older people or people with disabilities. And that's actually not true. According to the data, again, from the government, specifically from the Federal Trade Centers, they actually said that it's everyday people, actually younger people. So 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, we're the most effective. We're the most affected by scams. The 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds. We have a higher chance of being scammed more than any age demographic. However, what is true is that older people are more likely to lose more money. So older people are less likely to be scammed, but if they are scammed, more of their money is going to be taken. And that makes sense because obviously older people, especially if we're talking 60, 70-year-olds, 50-year-olds, they have that retirement built up. So they can drop down, or they're successful, right? If you're 50 years old and you did well in life, you have 50, 60K to invest in, but if you're a college student, you don't have money to invest in to have investment scams happen to you. I didn't go into that and investment scams, because there's so many of those. It could be its own episode. But there are, scams in general that just try to trick you into investing, usually in cryptocurrency. So kind of one thing, to stay vigilant about is whenever someone wants to get paid by cryptocurrency, whenever they want to get paid by gift cards, whenever they want to get paid even by direct wiring, be wary of that. I know everybody wants the Venmo, everybody wants the Zelle. That is, keep doing that. Just make sure you do the things that you're supposed to do. Send over $1 first. Make sure the person confirms it. Again, if you can do a sale or a transaction in person, go ahead and do it. If you can do it by check or money order, go ahead and do it. Make sure you're doing transactions where it's a little bit more easy to trace. Cryptocurrency and gift cards are the number 2 ways because they are very difficult to trace, outright impossible. You just want to be careful. Most scammers, if not all, they're inbound. So if they're calling through your phone, they're emailing you, they're text messaging you. One thing you should do is, if they're impersonating a company, like there's the bank. I didn't talk about those, but there's bank fraud scams where they're pretending to be banks and stuff like that. I get them through Bank of America all the time. If you get a call and it's a Bank of America rep, just say, hey, be honest. Hey, there's a lot of scams going on. I'm going to call you back real quick. Don't ask for a number. Don't let them give you a number. Just literally let them know that you're calling back, and go on to Bank of America's official website. Make sure that website is not being blemished or spoofed or something like that, and just call directly there. That actually happened to me a couple of days ago with a company pretending to be some company, and then it was very real. It really sounded like a real rep that worked there. Just because of everything going on, I didn't call that number that they gave me back. I called the number on their website, and to my shock, literally the first 3 digits, the area code, was a different area code. So I'm glad I did that. And then when I called the person, they're like, yeah, we didn't call you at this time. It's crazy out here. I can keep going, but my time's already basically up. I just really wanted to, again, just bring to attention certain types of scams that are going on. I may continue this at a later time as far as just updating you guys, because I'm really into it. As I said in the previous episode, the real best way of prevention is being educated on what's going on and being vigilant. So just, taking that extra second or 2 or 3 to be cautious, or taking that extra time to just double check. At this point, my phone, if you have an iPhone, there is a feature where it silences all incoming phones that are not saved into your phone book. So I just always have that on, and I literally get 3 to 5 random calls a day. And I'm so glad that Apple added that feature in. I'm pretty sure Android, you guys have been rocking it for a while, but I'm over here at Team iPhones. For all my iPhone users, just turn that on if you're getting random calls, and that'll really help a lot. And even if it's a number that you think is correct, because there is a technology to spoof phone numbers where it will look like a correct phone number that you recognize, but it really isn't. Just don't answer the phone number. Call that same phone number right back, and that generally will a lot of stuff. So that's really it, you guys. My time's already up. Thank you for listening. I pray for everybody's safety. I pray that people don't go through what I go through or what other Americans and other people are going through when it comes to the scammers, man. We know we all work hard for our money. For someone to just steal it and take it that easily, man, it's not a great feeling. But, appreciate everybody listening to me, listening to your boy, Plickety Blinding himself at Financial State of Mind, to show where I help you get to that bag, manage that bag, and grow that bag as best as possible through financial and business literacy. Thank you for everybody here at KGPC. You've been listening, tapped into it, 96.9fn.org. You've been listening to it on your favorite streaming platform. Tune in for the next episode, you guys. Peace. I'm out of here.